So I'm going to be making some medium. I have some Canada balsam here. This is from Rublev. Uh, you can really just use whichever Canada balsam. Uh, I know there's a few other brands that make it. Just 100% Canada balsam. You also couldn't use Venetian balsam. I don't have like loads of experience with that, but this is what I use. It's like super thick, super sticky. So thankfully it's quite a warm day, but sometimes you have to like run it underwater or maybe like stick it in the sun, hot water, run it under hot water to get it sort of flowing. And it takes a while, but I just pour the Canada balsam into this jar, and I sort of just let it like sit there for a bit. Sometimes I'll just like go like that and just wait. And so what you're going to be doing is, it's basically a quarter Canada balsam, a quarter some mineral spirit, turpentine. I usually use Gamblin Gamsol, which is like an odorless mineral spirit. And then it's half sunthickened linseed oil. This is refined linseed oil that I sort of made a tray out of lead, and then poured like a ball or two into these trays of lead of of refined linseed oil, and then I put a sheet of glass over it, or maybe like some saran wrap might work, just so that bugs or dust don't get in the oil. And then I stick it in the sun, and depending on like where you are and how sunny it is, it usually just takes about like a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe a bit longer for it to start thickening, and it absorbs the lead. Let's see. Yeah, you also can buy sunthickened linseed oil. But this is how I make it, and I make sure I'm stirring it. You don't need to stir it too much in the beginning, but that sort of like helps get the lead into the oil, and then it starts to thicken up, and sometimes even like a film, sort of like a skin on top, will develop, and you want to like mix that in, and it starts to get thicker and thicker from the sun, and this just allows the medium to have like a really nice like body to it, as well as with the balsam. It gives it a really nice sort of like drag, and it also has a sort of like glow to it, like almost like a varnish. And the lead, the reason I soak them in lead trays is the lead makes the paint dry super fast, which is really nice. So I'm basically painting like alla prima on top of what I was painting yesterday, like every day. Depends on where you are, how dry and how hot it is, but like most of the time my painting will be dry the very next day. And so that's one reason why when I'm painting too, I'm being really cautious of like what edges I'm leaving, because they will dry and I won't be able to soften them the next day. So I'm always making sure I have like not too sharp of brush strokes, and also scraping to get to any excess paint off. And I'll explain that further. But sometimes I made it and it's like super orange. This one's really white, but you'll start to like see these like strings of like white develop in the lead, or in the oil, and that's the lead. And then once it gets to a consistency where, I don't know, it's like it's not super thick. And it depends on how you like it. I don't like it super thick. So once you just think that it has a good consistency, I take it out, put it in a jar. So I have, basically what I do is I just pour in some Canada balsam, and then I eyeball it, and I pour in the same amount of turpentine, so I sort of double it, and then I'll do the same thing with that mixture of Canada balsam and turpentine, I'll then add the same amount of sun thickened linseed oil. So it's a quarter, and then the remaining half is this. If that makes sense. I'm getting my turpentine, and I can just see where the Canada balsam is. And I'm just gonna pour, and it's nice because they sort of remain separate from each other, so you can actually quite clearly see what amounts that you're putting in. And then I'm just gonna eyeball it. Pour in some sun thickened linseed oil. Yeah. Let's see how that looks. Give it a good shake. There we go. Looks good. It smells great. Canada balsam has like a real nice like sort of pine smell to it. So then what I do is, like I said, I have my medium cups here, and I just pour a bit of turpentine in one of the cups. So for the extra sort of like thin brush strokes that I want, I can just dip my brush into there. You want to be really careful with your medium because it does have sun thickened linseed oil in it, so there's a lot of lead. You know, just like wear gloves, wash your hands, don't eat while you're painting. Yeah, and then I just pour the medium into my other cups. And then one thing to keep in mind is like, I try to make sure that if there's like leftover medium in my cups, that I like clean it out, because if you leave it in there for a day or two, it starts to get sticky and thick, and then your brushes go funny.